Mr. Chairman, sir, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a great honor for me to be here today. The whole essence of coming together is to have a conversation, is to meet, is to deliberate upon all the ills, the myriad problems that have been plaguing our country for so long. We may yet find the answers here, and we may still have to look further, but answers must surely come at a time. Maybe it is time to say enough is enough. From the year 1922, we've been having constitutions. We had a Clifford in 1922. The lexicon then was not even about a Nigerian, it was about an African. So they said there was no African involved in that exercise. They just gave to us what they thought would be useful, but it wasn't. It was unitary, it wasn't reflecting anything. But then people woke up to certain responsibilities after the First World War, Second World War, and education that came, agitation came, the Nigerian youth movement and every other thing, and then that statement that Nigeria is a mere geographical expression that came in a book form in 1947. Before then was the 1946 Richard's Constitution, which didn't quite give us even that upon which we express ourselves. There were riots and the rest of them. Mr. Richards was taken away, Mr. McPherson was brought in, yet he gave us something which is just a slight improvement. He didn't define the Nigerian the way we would want to describe and define a Welsh or an Englishman or a Scottish man. So the idea came that we should even experiment on a government in 1951. Still, the true federal nature of Nigeria was yet to emerge. Finally, there was the London Conference of 1953, and then the emergence of the Littleton Constitution of 1954, which defined the very first federal constitution. But one thing I want to say is this. From 1946 to 1959, we had the Richards, the McPherson, the Littleton. We had four constitutions. Why didn't they decide that they were going to patch up the 1946 Constitution? Why didn't they work on the 1951 Constitution? Why did we have to have a new one in 54? And then we still had an independence constitution. So we're talking about 5 constitutions in a span of 9 years. It is because there was a need to do so. It is the belief of us of the Southwest that the 1999 Constitution is beyond repair. We cannot, in all honesty, look at the United States of America with a constitution that is almost 250 years old, and they've only been able to have a few amendments. Everybody knows of the 5th. Somebody claims the 5th because he does not want to incriminate himself. But how many of such amendments have been done in 250 years? Are they even up to 20? If we have to look at our own constitution and begin to do a surgical thing, just like my dear Egbon, the former governor of Ogun State, and the rest of our representatives are hell-bent on doing some kind of patch-up, I wonder how long it will take. to have that constitution remodeled to become a people's constitution. So our advocacy from the Southwest is that the difference between doing what is right and what is best are just in the finer details of enumerating the facts and the truth. And in this case, we must have a people-oriented constitution. The 1979 constitution was condemned by Chief Obafemi Awolowo for one single reason, perhaps many others, but one notable reason, because there were restrictions. You don't restrict what the people want. You subject it to a lot of debates and a lot of tests. At the end of the day, what we had was the influence of the military. And if anybody had expected the military in 1966 to have come up with a system of governance that is going to resemble what we had before the coup, perhaps the person will need to study what happens in the military. My forever leader, and I've been to his place around Ikwisikwatu, General Ikewachukwu is here. There is this idea of order, which you follow in the military. You cannot expect a lieutenant colonel, who is a governor, to be so independent of his boss, who is not a governor, but is his senior. You cannot have the governor of Western region or Western state or Eastern state being so autonomous of the supreme commander. It's not going to happen. That's not the way the military works. So what the military did in '66 was not so much as people saying somebody came and took away federalism. Military came, and they only could do how they manage the military. And it didn't matter that it was in a civilian situation. So what we had in '79 was still part of that military culture. It was, at best, Obasanjo constitution. Same thing happened in 1988 when there was a Constituent Assembly here in Abuja, and we produced the Babangida Constitution of '89. Same thing with the Abdulsalami Constitution, which in many ways is some kind of illegality. Elections were held for a constitution that had not been promulgated into law. That's an aberration. But we still went ahead and saw a precedent on that constitution that had not been promulgated. Now, it's all military. But before this, there was a 1963 constitution, which is very much like what we are doing here. There was no Constituent Assembly. It was the conglomerate of wise men from those regions of those days who sat down together and had the very first Republican Constitution for Nigeria, homegrown, no Clifford, no Richards, no Littleton, the Republican Constitution of Nigeria. That was the very first people's constitution. We had something close to that in 2014, and Providence didn't allow that to stand. Now we have yet another opportunity of an homegrown solution to all our problems. Our prayers in the Southwest is that may this exercise give us the required constitution to steer Nigeria forward and steer us away from a certain destruction. If ever there's going to be a prayer, if anybody is ever going to believe in the power of prayers, it is now, so that this effort will not just go against the powers that and principalities that we need to appease one way or the other. The people will have the right to say this is how we want to be governed. I have prepared a slide, it's showing there, but I decided I'm not going to follow that. We prepared a 90-page document which would take a longer period to even begin to talk about point for point. I felt the best thing we could do is appeal to our sense of belonging, of wanting to rectify a situation and not make the kind of speeches out of written words. Those who would distill all that the zones have prepared would do a good job to that which has brought us here. When I was made the chair, I said to myself, it's an opportunity to practice my indoctrination and my conviction and to bring everything to fore in a way that it will be politically agnostic. This is not about the right or the left or the center. It's about the people of the Southwest, it's about the people of Nigeria. It didn't matter what anybody's interest would be. It's about the people. So we gathered a good team. I'm privileged to have worked with the likes of Dr. Aderebi Disalu. I'm privileged to have worked with Mr. Kayode Samuel. I'm privileged to have worked with Reverend Canon Architect Goke Omikbodu. I'm privileged to have worked with Byron, Adegbenro Byron, Eyitemi Taire, Funke Awolowo, and a host of others who gave all their time. We had a town hall meeting that included the likes of AIG Alakpini, former Deputy Governor Gbenga Kaka, Niyi Akintola San, and about 14 Yoruba groups and eminent personalities that joined us. And the document we have produced will still not be so much of something new. And I will explain. Right from 1953, the people of the Southwest have had this rare opportunity of having documented interests and profound leanings of the people of the Southwest. So we leaned on that. In 1991, the late Alao Akabashorun, who was calling for a national conference at that time, had even gone to Benin Republic to organize one. So we had a document from 1991. We had such a document repackaged for the 2014 confab. And yet again, when we had the Ibadan Declaration of 2017, which was organized by the Afenifere, but then Afenifere brought in 42 other Southwest groups. I was made the publicity secretary. So we went to Adamasingba, and then we still produced yet another document. What we have done is to improve all of this, did our consultation with all the socio-political leaders. At that meeting, like I said, we had Yoruba Council of Elders, we had Yoruba Elders Council, we had Afenifere, we had everybody to give us their input. So what we have presented is legitimate. I can assure you of that. What we have submitted to the patrons is legitimate. The one thing that we need to look at seriously is what came up in 1953. And that is the very serious matter of those we call minorities. Those who would flash back will know that there was a word called, well, by Chief Abafebolo, call, C-O-R, Cross Rivers, Ogoja Rivers, ever before there was anything like that. And then the Middle Belt people. But then we must now inject what is called homogeneity. Those who believe that they have kinship, affiliation, fealty to certain other parts, and are minorities in wherever they are, and according to the Willings Commission, which was bequeathed to us by the British in 1957 to take care of the issues relating to minorities, we've included that as well. So for all of those in Okun, in Kwara, in Akoko Edo, in Warri, and anywhere else contiguous to the Southwest, who feel that they want to be part of the greater, larger Southwest, well, why not subject it to a referendum? There were quite a number of people there yesterday, perhaps here today, if not for the referendum of 19... Prof, please remind me, Prof. Ezekome, when was it, the Northern Cameroon's referendum? If not for that, they would not be part of Nigeria. So if we have to subject this Willings Commission thing that the British didn't quite fully execute before they left, let's do it now. Let's have that homogeneity so that we can reduce friction, we can reduce tension. Another thing we added to what has been existing is the idea of fiscal as well as physical restructuring. And I will explain. We have one single tier of policing in Nigeria. It is never enough. I had this very untoward experience of one of the Obas having been kidnapped. And we left in the dead of the night. We arrived at dawn, only to find 2 policemen in this community of over 10,000 people. And these policemen don't even carry guns. So we need policing at the community level. We need policing at the city level. We need policing at the state level. And perhaps we now come to that which the people of the Southwest are saying we must have again, regions. We say no to statism. Statism is all about those who want to go from wherever they are to Abuja, bowl in hand, to go and collect allocation. We don't want that. People should be able to learn how to work. We must bring back what is called competition. Yesterday, I saw Professor Pat Tomi, and I said to him, Ibadan boy, we meet again. He was at Loyola. I was at Ibadan Grammar School, older than I, but we always meet on the football field. Ibadan Grammar School will always beat Loyola until they went and brought one Lukula. Then we almost played a draw, but then we still beat them. But that is competition. And we had a lot of memories. There was the time Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who had started the first television in Africa. And naturally, it was the first in Africa. He didn't have to say so. But Chief Michael Okpara, ever alive to responsibilities, 3 months later, started and finished the Eastern Nigerian television. And of course, who can remember how that television station went in terms of advertisement, the way he advertised? He said, Eastern Nigerian television, second to none. I like that. It was healthy competition. So why have we jettisoned competition? We should have everybody producing just like we used to produce. The human capital, the human resources we have are in abundance. We have, even apart from DRC, Nigeria being the most, the country in Africa that has the most natural resources occurring freely. In all of this, I'll just round up by saying that what we determine should be self-determination within a nation, not to live, but to be part of it, to make it greater by making the people to realize their full potentials. Thank you very much.